this video, I'm going to do the first test of Cubase 10 on the M1 powered Mac. I've never attempted to load it yet, so my Apollo Twin or Arrow aren't supported yet, so I'm having to use Zoom H5. Plus powering it from the Mac. Taking a little while to load. Just edit out my password. So currently the VST scanner is going. The H5 is bus powered, but it actually has the opportunity or the option of powering it off the internal batteries, which is pretty cool. Means you're not going to be taking your unnecessary power from the laptop. At the minute, not much is happening. Okay. So things aren't looking great for Cubase 10 anyway. Let's try again. Okay, now it's working. I'll choose the H5. Alright. So far so good. I'll just create an empty project. Already registered. Create a couple of audio tracks. Stereo. One will do for now. Let's adjust a few things. I want the performance meter, but I don't want automation mode can go. State buttons can go. There we go. Let's check. Oh. Right. So it's using the audio outputs from the MacBook, but I want to use the H5. Still doing it. Audio connections. Disconnect the outputs for now. So I'm getting a signal. Let's see if I can load up some of the default plugins. So load up a mono delay, see what's happening. So far, so good. Channel strip. Okay, I'll make a different video testing out the plugin alliance plugins. I'll just go for the Steinberg stuff right now. Pitch correct, working good. Spatial and panning, stereo enhancer. All good. Frequencies working fine. Cool. So far, I'm not seeing anything crazy. Let's see what the buffer settings are like. Wonder how I adjust the. Alright, so 256 at the minute, so let's take it down to 32. Push it a little bit. Performance meter still staying still. That's with frequency enabled. Let's try opening up the mixer view. Look at the bottom panel. I'll need to set up my templates and stuff again, but that's all good. Let's check for latency information. Show equalizer curve. Show channel latency. Okay. What's going on there? Alright, so I want to show equalization curve and channel latency. So frequency doesn't add any latency, which is cool. Let's load up an amp simulator. I should have an amp rack. Bit crusher, DAT tube. I'll try stacking some of these plugins, see what happens. Get a reverb, Roomworks, Reverence. Let's get the performance meter here too. Still really low performance. On Intel-based machines, I would notice that there's like a lot of every plugin that you're adding, like it jumps up a significant amount. It'll depend quite heavily on what the plugin is, how much latency it induces. Like this would normally induce latency. There you go, 50 seconds or 50 milliseconds of latency. Just throwing stuff at it here just to see what happens. Gonna test out third-party plugins in a different video. So yeah, all the stock Cubase plugins are running really well, but they're always very efficient anyway, so I mean, honestly, there are some plugins in Cubase that, like, this is the first time I've ever loaded this plugin, I'm ashamed to say. I'll perform the same test with Studio One. Now, this is all at 32 samples, which means that you're going to be able to track through this. Should have really tried this first without installing all of the non-stock stuff. But so far, there's no real problem at all. Once you start stacking effects at 32 samples, you would kind of expect it to start sort of messing up on you a little bit, but there's the first significant jump that we've got from Loop Mash FX, which again, honestly, I've never used it before, so I figure it's kind of for dance production and stuff like that. Which I've been playing a lot of Beat Saber on Oculus VR lately, and I'm finding myself wanting to work on some techno music as a result. So yeah, it's just handling everything that I'm throwing at it here. I only have 2 tracks there, but everything that I've added there, not a problem. So that's cool. 32 samples, which means I'll be able to load up VMR with virtual mic system and guitar emulation plugins and things like that without needing a Kemper with me or anything. So that's great. This little thing as well, 2 built-in stereo XY mics at the front, but it also has 2 jacks at the back, and so that's been bus powering it for what, 15-20 minutes now as well, and it's taken 3% of the battery, so that's also pretty cool. I'm interested to see what it'll be like when UAD support the Arrow, because it means if I can bus power the Arrow through this, then I can track through the UAD plugins that I have, hopefully with as low as latency as I can get with the H5. The H5 is class compliant, unfortunately the Arrow is not. Just for fun, I shall create another couple of tracks here, and we'll just copy this stuff across. So So I'll create another 5 stereo tracks. We'll go back to the mixer and I will just option and drag and see what happens. Used to using a mouse rather than a trackpad. We've seen some jumps there, but nothing crazy. And this is all at 32 samples. And realistically, 32 samples, I'm not going to be using plugins that are inducing latency, because it would sort of defeat the purpose. So you see here, they've all got 50 milliseconds of latency on each of those channels. And realistically, for my needs, I'm not going to be recording more than probably 3-4 channels of audio at a time. So there, I've probably got 15% performance load there in Cubase. Now that's not real world CPU usage, that's just the usage that Cubase is reporting. I honestly don't know what measurement system Cubase uses for that kind of thing, but yeah, I mean at 32 samples, that's pretty cool. Don't know if you can read that. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that, to be honest. And it's been stable, it hasn't been redlining at all. No jumps in like performance meter spikes or and the input for the H5, the stereo input, seems to be working great. I'll have to test it with the ML1, the Slate ML1, see what it's like running in real time with VMR. But as a portable system, yeah, super. First impressions are really, really good. So yeah, I'll have other videos up shortly for Studio One, showing how Cubase handles plugin alliance plugins with the M1 chip and Slate plugins, and when UAD are supported, UAD plugins. Unfortunately, I can't do screen capture on this system because, well, I can, but loopback doesn't. It's not natively supported on this OS. So, in order to install it, I would need to go in and disable security settings in the BIOS, which or in the the Mac equivalent of the BIOS, I guess. To allow kext files to be installed, which are basically like system level drivers, and I really don't want to be messing around with that kind of thing right now. If I can figure out another way to do it with OBS, I will, and I'll do some videos, like live videos with the actual screen being captured, because I think that would be be a bit easier for people to see. But yeah, I mean, 32 samples, and I don't know, let's see what the round trip latency is like. So input latency is 5 milliseconds, output latency is 3. I wonder, is that being caused by some of these latency inducing plugins or not? I'll have to test that out to see if it's noticeable. That sounds quite high actually for 32 samples, but we'll see. So anyway, yeah, cool. Hope people find that insightful.